Great Entrepreneur Reborn. Preface: I want to get married, not reborn. Lu Jian is in his 30s this year, not married, and his job is very ordinary. He is a small squad leader in a factory, and he has no future. The only thing he can do is that he has a house. It's a pity that this house is not in big cities such as Beijing and Shanghai, but in Panchur City, a very common prefecture-level city in the northeast, which is considered a third-tier city. Except for the people in this province who know about the existence of such a city, not many people know about it outside the province. As for understanding, I am afraid that no one except the native-born Panchur people knows. This is normal. The current social situation is like this: the population of the third-tier cities flows to the second-tier cities, and the population of the second-tier cities rushes to Beijing, Shanghai and other first-tier cities to struggle, and some of them will not hesitate to become an ant tribe. Lu Jian is also such a struggling ant clan. He has been in the provincial capital for many years. He has neither earned much money nor seen how much development he will have in the future. In the end, Lu Jian's parents really couldn't stand it anymore. They let go of their self-esteem. I went to find a friend I hadn't contacted for a long time. This friend has now retired to the second line and is the director of the People's Congress of Panchur City. When this friend was the secretary of the municipal party committee, Lu Fu never opened his mouth to him, but for the sake of his son, there is nothing the parents can't do. In this way, Lu Jian was assigned a job. I got a formal job in an agency of a county-level city under Panchur City. With a formal job in the agency and a staff member with a staff, it is easy to find a girlfriend. It didn't take long for the enthusiastic eldest sister in the agency to find out the situation of Lu Jian's family. My home is in the city, I have a flat, and I graduated from a university. Although it is a cheap pheasant college degree, I am still a college student. Enthusiastically recruited Lu Jian, and soon a middle school teacher became Lu Jian's girlfriend. Lu Jian is very satisfied. After working hard in a society for so many years, his spirit of being higher than the sky when he graduated has long since been smoothed out. How dare he expect to find a wife who is like a fairy? From a practical point of view, it is very good to be able to find a teacher. Both of them have jobs, and they will be daily necessities in the future. Of course, this girlfriend looks a bit ordinary, but isn't that how ordinary people live? With an ordinary job, an ordinary-looking wife, and a building big enough for a family of 3, Lu Jian is very satisfied with living a stable life in a third-tier city. Life is such a joke, and today is March 8th, the day of all great women. After Lu Jian got off work, he went to the street to buy a bouquet of flowers, and then walked into Hongtai Jewelry, planning to buy a necklace for his girlfriend. Don't worry about the gold one, more than 400 grams per gram is like killing a pig, so I'd better buy 1 extra gram of silver. Lu Jian, who was picking out a necklace, didn't notice a van parked at the door, and then 4 or 5 men with guns rushed into the gold shop, and then there were screams and gunshots. Wearing a necklace, he looked at the chaotic gold store in amazement, and then saw a masked gangster firing a shot in a hurry. Unfortunately, the shot hit Lu Jian. To borrow the words of a certain great god, the wheel of history took a fork here, and then rolled towards the fork. Great Entrepreneur Reborn Chapter 1, To Go to School or Not to Go to School. Lu Jian, who regained his sobriety, was very depressed, really depressed. Looking at the Andy Lau poster on the wall that he had seen countless times, and the bright calendar on the desk, July 1, 1997, he knew that he had won the lottery, and it was the biggest prize in the 21st century. The grand prize of the lottery, rebirth. For the rebirth that countless people were looking forward to, when it was his turn, Lu Jian didn't feel any joy, excitement, shrouded in happiness, etc., only 2 words of depression. I finally got a job, got a building, and immediately got a wife. With a bang, the gunshots disappeared, and I was thrown back more than 10 years ago, telling you that those are gone. Brother, are you here? Let's do it all over again. What else can I say out of the word depressed? Lu Jian raised his and gestured towards the sky, thinking that he is just a cup on the coffee table. Before Lu Jian's self-pity was over, his mother's voice came from outside, Xiao Jian, come out quickly, the national flag is about to be raised, why don't you come and see it? Lu Jian, who was already quite depressed, felt uncomfortable when he heard the familiar word Xiao equals Xiao. These two characters seem to have appeared with me longer than Lu Jian. What did my parents think of giving me such a name? Lu Jian reluctantly agreed, and walked out. In the living room, his parents were sitting on the sofa watching the grand occasion of Hong Kong's handover ceremony. Seeing the familiar faces of his parents again, Lu Jian felt extremely excited. In his last life, after graduating from university, his family was in decline, and he insisted on staying in the provincial capital for the so-called face. In order to buy him a building for his marriage, his parents both went out to work. They are in their 50s, and they worked hard to make money for their son. But back then, I was more complaining that my father didn't keep the money for himself when he was rich, and he lost it all. When you go home, you complain about your parents once. Isn't that what those experts call the old gnawing family? It was also after I stayed away from the vanity, returned to the office to work, and after my heart calmed down, did I truly understand my parents and feel the greatness of fatherly love and motherly love. The current parents are only in their 40s, which is the golden age of life. They look hale and hearty and radiant, which is the most glorious moment in their parents' lives. Father Lu Fu looks like a big boss, and he is also dressed neatly at home. He sits there neatly, with his waist always straight. This is the imprint left by his father, who was a soldier in the military. His mother, Zhang Huan, was also very rich and slightly fat, but she was much better than the later generations who were in their 50s and who were less than 100 caddies thin. At this time, the conditions of the family were at their best, and within a few years, the family would be in decline, and Lu Jian himself had changed from brother-son Lu Jian to a worthless little bitch. Lu Jian sighed while watching TV. This TV is Panasonic's 29-inch TV, which is top-notch in today's era. Unfortunately, when it was reborn in 2012, it was still the same TV at home. It was not until his parents were decorating Lu Jian's new house for his marriage that they bought a 42-inch TV. Domestic TV. In 1997, my family could afford more than 10,000 imported TVs, but after more than 10 years, I could only afford more than 3,000 domestic TVs. From this, I can't see the decline of my family. After watching the national flag raising, the atmosphere at home became much calmer. Lu Fu looked at his son Lu Jian. It was a big lawsuit. Lu Fu had been a soldier for several years. When he changed jobs, he had no money and no connections, so he joined the first construction company, limited in the city. I have been working in the company for many years. I have no academic qualifications, no contacts, and I don't know anything about technology. I only get a salary of tens of dollars a month, and my life is very tight. Later, catching up with the country's reform and opening up, Lu Fu was a thoughtful person. He felt that this was an opportunity to make a fortune, so he took a leave of absence without pay and went into business. It sounds good to be doing business in the sea, but in fact it is a contracted engineering team, from a regular employee of a construction company to a contractor. At that time, I don't know how many people laughed at Lu Fu. I didn't expect to make a fortune after working for several years. Catching up with the better policy and economic situation, Lu Fu is earning more and more money, and his life is getting better and better. The only thing that gives him a headache is this precious son. Lu Fu didn't have Lu Jian until he was in his 30s, and his heart ached so much that he was afraid of melting in his mouth, and afraid of falling when he held it in his hands. Therefore, Lu Jian has not suffered any crimes since he was a child, and it can be said that he lives in a honeypot. This makes Lu Fu, who has suffered and suffered, very worried about Lu Jian's future. Sure enough, the conditions are getting better and better, and Lu Jian's academic performance is getting worse and worse. Every day, he either skips school to watch videos and play games, or fights fiercely. Lu Jian paused, but he was reluctant when the situation came to an end, so he hurriedly cursed and passed away. Lu Fu invited the teacher to eat, and asked the tutor to make up lessons. For a period of time, Lu's mother followed Lu Jian to and from school every day. After a long meal, his grades did not improve. After the high school entrance examination, I got an earth-shattering score. If I want to go to high school, I can take the money. Regardless of Lu Jian's poor grades, he didn't get into high school because of his good face. A few days ago, a friend of Lu Futua asked the principal of number 1 middle school in the city. Hearing Lu Jian's grades, the principal frowned a lot. Gritting his teeth, he said, "Prepare 10,000, and I'll think of a way." 10,000 at this time is not a small number, and of course it is not a big number to Lu Fu, but hearing that his son has to spend so much money to go to high school makes the strong Lu Fu feel annoyed. Lu Fu took the remote control and switched to the sports channel, which was Lu Jian's favorite program. While watching the game, he asked, "There is nothing wrong with Xiaojian's high school. Go and study hard." Said, "Forget it, as long as you don't cause trouble, I'm content. As for university or something, I think there is no hope." There was an indescribable loneliness in his tone. As soon as she heard about her son, Mother Lu, who had already planned to cook, sat down again, and also planned to listen to her son's opinion. Seeing this long-lost scene, Lu Jian remembered that in his previous life, he insisted on going to high school for the sake of his so-called face, and spent 3 years in a daze. Did not learn. Spending money and wasting time, not to mention that I have no talent for learning and I don't like learning at all. All that is just for the poor self-esteem in my youth. Now that I was reborn, although I didn't think about what I would do in the future, it was definitely not my choice to repeat the past experience. Thinking of this, Lu Jian said, "Dad, I don't want to go to school anymore." Then he stopped talking, not knowing how to explain it. Lu Fu and his wife were taken aback. Although this son did not study well and often skipped classes, it must have been a joke if he was not allowed to go to school. "What happened today? I won't cause any trouble again." Lu Fu asked, "Tell me, what trouble have you caused?" Lu's mother also came over and touched Lu Jian's head, and said strangely, "Son, you don't have a fever? You didn't tell me 2 days ago that you must go to a key high school and go to college. Why did this change? Yes, what stimulated you?" Lu Jian couldn't help but smile wryly because of the quarrel between the two, and hurriedly said, "Mom, I'm fine, I really don't miss you anymore." The couple looked at each other, and it was Lu Fu who asked, "Why don't you miss me?" Lu Jian smiled wryly. He couldn't say that I was reborn, he knew it was completely meaningless to read it. After thinking for a long time, I found a reason and said, "You all know my grades. I thought about it for a few days. I really don't want to study. If I have this time, I might as well come out to earn some money. When those guys graduate from college, maybe I will become a big boss." Lu Fu and his wife looked at me, I looked at you, and they looked at Lu Jian together, and said in unison, "Son, what you said is true, not just a whim." Lu Jianxin said that I am now in my 30s, and I have experienced so many things, how can I have a whim? Lu Fu also came and asked with interest, "Xiao Jian, what are your plans? Since you don't want to study, why don't you join the army? The army is a place to train people, so you can't hang around all day long." Before Lu Jian could say anything, Mother Lu quit and said, "What kind of soldier should you be?" Lu Jian also shook his head and said, "Dad, I can't bear the hardships of being a soldier. How about I work with you and become a big boss in the future?" Lu Fu frowned and said, "What kind of big boss am I to learn from me? That's an engineering team. Your father and I see that you have $2 in hand. In fact, you are a contractor. There is nothing to learn." That being said, Lu Fu is also thinking about what his son can do. It is not so easy to enter the agency. The most important thing is that Lu Jian's education level is too low. I don't know when it will be arranged. If it doesn't work, let Lu Jian follow him first, to save loitering in the society. Lu Jian knew that it was really difficult for him to arrange, so he said, "Dad, why don't I drive for you? You don't have a driver, and you have so many entertainments, it's not safe to drive after drinking." Lu's mother thought it was a good thing. Lu Fu went out to drink and drive all day long, and she was often afraid until midnight. It's just that it's hard to find a driver who knows the basics. There are some things Lu Fu can't see in the light, and it takes a long time for this matter to be delayed. It's not so much a problem for his son to drive. There is nothing to worry about Lu Jian's skills. Ever since he bought the car, Lu Jian has been driving around during the holidays. Sometimes Lu Jian spends more time driving than Lu Fu. Thinking of this, Lu's mother also stood by her son's side. Looking at the 2-to-1 votes, Lu Fu agreed without saying anything. After returning to the room, Lu Jian lay down on the bed excitedly, thinking that as long as he was by his father's side, he would have a chance to stop the project that made his father lose all his family property in his previous life. As long as I don't lose the money, my family will definitely get better and better with my father's ability, and I can continue to be the second-generation ancestor instead of gnawing on the old. Lu Jian hadn't recovered from the confusion of rebirth at this time, and didn't realize how big a killer rebirth was, but was just immersed in the joy and excitement of changing the future. Great Entrepreneur Reborn Chapter 2, Wage Arrears to Migrant Workers. Lying on the bed, thinking of the woman who was going to marry him, Lu Jian was very confused. Is it because she looks too abstract and ordinary, or because his memory is so poor that he can't remember what he looks like? Driving the sign, Lu Jian went back and forth between Pancher and Haishi. Lu Jian had a lot of opinions on this car. It was not a good brand to buy, so he had to buy a bitch brand. Sometimes thinking that he was riding on a bitch every day, Lu Jian felt quite happy. In his last life, he had such a happy life for a few days. Lu Jian, who has accepted the reality, has completely changed his mentality. What is the biggest trick in his rebirth? It is foresight. Lu Jian has had enough hard times, and will not waste this hard-won talent. He has no idea what to do, but becoming a rich man is the same goal. Lu Jian's current plan is to become a rich second generation first, so that Lu Fu's career can be promoted to a higher level, and his happy life will be longer, so first of all, he must change the status quo that Lu Fu is a contractor. Lu Fu's current project is the drying tower of the Haishi Grain Depot, which was obtained from the director of the Grain Bureau through his relationship. The project is simple, the quality requirements are not high, and the payment is quick. Live, sent out. But success is the same, and failure is the same. Lu Jian clearly remembers that in 2 years, the country will reform the food system, and the good days of the Food Bureau will come to an end. Lu Fu took on a big project with the intention of making a last profit. As a result, the project cost of millions of dollars was delayed for more than 10 years, and the Lu family's old background was lost. This day, Lu Jian ran with Lu Fu for more than half a day, only to come to 100,000 yuan. After working on the project for so long, this amount of money is not even enough for the cost of materials. Lu Jian couldn't understand it. Lu Jian asked, "Dad, why is it difficult to get money? The project is almost half done, what do they have enough money for?" Lu Fu smiled bitterly and said, "Xiao Jian, you don't know many things. You think it's easy for a contractor to make money. Your father and I are asking for money. When did you ask Grandpa to sue Grandma? Your father's biggest worry is to have to pay." Lu Jian remembered what Lu Fu occasionally said after his business failure in the previous life, and asked in a flash of inspiration, "Dad, what are you going to do with the money?" Lu Fu said, "Of course, take it back and pay the workers' wages. If the material payment can be delayed, it can be delayed for a while, and if it can't, then bring some money." Lu Jian smiled wryly, and it was indeed what his father did. He said, "Dad, is this breaking the rules? I heard that those contractors only pay workers after the project is over." Lu Fu nodded and said, "I know this too, but you also know that it's not easy for those who work part-time. Their families are all pointing at the money and starting fires. I can't do something like that." Lu Jian shook his head and said, "Dad, the family has paid a lot of money for this project. Now the 100,000 yuan is not enough to fill our holes, and you still have to use it to pay for the workers. Did Dad count the money in it? How much is the interest, and if you take out a loan, how much will our family pay?" Lu Fu frowned. It was easy to earn money these years, although it was difficult to ask for money, but sooner or later it would come up. Lu Fu didn't realize the difference in interest at all. Hearing Lu Jian's words, Lu Fu did some calculations in his heart, and the figure he got shocked Lu Fu himself. Seeing Lu Fu's expression, Lu Jian knew that Lu Fu was frightened by the huge amount of interest, and then said, "Dad, you are just using your own money to spend on others. Who counts these accounts? Or say it's what about the rules?" Lu Fu's expression changed and he said, "Then what do you think we should do? I've been doing this all these years. Could it be that it's changed? What if they get into trouble and don't work? Lu Jian said, Dad, that's what you do. I don't believe that their family doesn't even have money for food. Other construction sites pay their wages at the end of the year. Why can't you? Besides, it's hard to find three-legged toads. There are not many people with legs. They don't want to work and some want to work. Why don't other construction sites worry that no one will work, because everyone knows that there are workers? Looking at Lu Fu, who was standing there in a daze, Lu Jian knew that Lu Fu had a very kind heart and didn't want to see other people's pity, but when it came to money matters, Lu Jian felt that he had an obligation to remind Lu Fu. After all, it was also related to his future happiness life. Lu Jian went on to say, Dad, you may not think it's a big deal to break the rules, and you will suffer a little, but the money is not a small amount, and no one will appreciate your benefits. To be more practical, these workers remember you. What's the use of being good, if there is no project for them, will they still remember you? Lu Fu wanted to say something, but he stopped talking. Yes, there will be a day, will they remember? What is the use? Lu Jian said, Dad, don't say anything else, just say which of those contractors has less money than you, and which one has done this. To be realistic, you broke the rules. Who will cooperate with you? I will follow you these days. Run away. If you don't tell me, I will also find out that there is no contractor who has a good relationship with you, and no one has cooperated with you. Why, the source is here. Lu Fu was speechless. He didn't expect that what he thought was a good thing would have so many disadvantages. Many problems that he couldn't figure out before are now figured out. Sitting there, Lu Fu lit a cigarette and started to smoke. Looking at his son, who was eating with his head bowed, he felt mixed emotions in his heart. Lu Fu asked, Xiao Jian, you have said so much, what's your opinion? Hearing Lu Fu's question, Lu Jian finally let out a sigh of relief, which shows that Lu Fu really listened to his own words. I thought that if I said this suggestion, many people in future generations would scold me. Shaking his head, he brushed the thought aside, and said, Dad, my opinion is that we should also start to default on the wages of migrant workers. Lu Fu was stunned when he heard his son's serious opinion, and Lu Jian's idea must be this if he was mentally prepared. But Lu Fu has been a soldier, he is very upright, he is not suitable for the construction industry. This industry must be black-hearted. The more black-hearted, the more money. Lu Fu did not do in his last life, he collapsed within a few years in this life. Lu Jian will never let these things happen again. Lu Jian knew that his idea was a little up, but it was the best way at present. Looking at his frowning father, Lu Jian was also a little worried, so he picked up the double happiness that Lu Fu had put on the table, and ordered one for himself. Lu Fu, who was thinking about something, saw his son beside him puffing out his clouds skillfully, and wondered when this kid learned to smoke. Lu Jian looked at the worried Lu Fu, thought for a while and said, Dad, if you really can't bear it, you can take out 20,000 to 30,000 yuan and give it to them. The project will be slowed down for a few days, and the materials should not be brought in. Well, you will be asking for money from the Food Bureau in a few days. When will you settle all the previous project funds and continue to work? It doesn't matter if the project is slower. You can add more budget and pursue more budget. We won't earn more. Is there a lot? Lu Fu still couldn't accept it, frowned and said, Xiao Jian, this is not good. How many people scolded me? Lu Jian said, Dad, do you think it is more important to be scolded than to earn money? Everything is false, and only the money you get is real. Lu Fu was speechless at this time. Although he couldn't accept it in his heart, his reason told him that what Lu Jian said was correct. At noon, the father and son didn't eat anything by chance. Lu Fu's mind was full of what Lu Jian said. Looking at the 100,000 yuan in his hand, he knew that he could no longer do what he did before. Lu Fu was kind and not a fool. This afternoon, Lu Fu paid the workers on the construction site 20,000 yuan in wages. There was no disturbance as imagined, and no one came to chase after him. Looking at the workers who continued to work, Lu Fu was deeply moved. I felt how correct my son's opinion was, and then realized that I was probably a fool in the eyes of the workers all these years. Lu Fu, who came home at night, was very drunk. After listening to Lu Jian's story, Lu's mother didn't say anything. She had been dissatisfied with Lu Fu's behavior for a long time, but Lu's mother had been taking care of Lu Jian's daily life at home. I don't have much right to speak about the work, and I didn't talk about it after a few times of persuasion, but it didn't work. I didn't expect that my son was the best, and Lu Fu was moved by his words in just a few days. This kind of change is exactly what Lu Jian met. Lu Fu left behind a good reputation in his previous life, and there is nothing. When Lu Fu has no projects, the workers disappear without a trace. It is really useless to them. Lu Fu quickly returned to normal, and he stopped hiding many things from Lu Jian, and began to treat Lu Jian as an adult. After Lu Fu asked for money a few more times, Lu Jian was convinced, and took the time to say to Lu Fu, "Dad, let's think of a way, can't we ask those directors of the grain depot to ask for money for us? I have seen several a director of the grain depot ask for money for their project, why didn't anyone come to ask for our project?" Lu Fu said, "You don't know that those guys keep increasing the budget. It is obvious that the project of 500,000 yuan has to be delayed for a month or two to reach 700,000 or 800,000. You can get a lot of benefits, and your father and I won't do this kind of thing." Looking at Lu Fu with an upright face, Lu Jian was dumbfounded. "Isn't he, Dad, what are you thinking?" Lu Jian really didn't know what to say about Lu Fu this time. Reading www.yuukangshu.com changed someone. I'm afraid Lu Jian would point to his nose and scold, "You are stupid." Lu Jian rubbed his head and said, "Dad, think about it. The reason we can get the project now is because we talked to the head of the food bureau. What if he gets lost? Besides, the additional budget is neither your money nor yours. It's not someone's personal money. Does our country care about this when it's so rich? And you're no longer a member of the government, so it's fine if you can earn money." Lu Fu snorted and said, "Making money is important, but you can't lose your conscience." Lu Jian smiled wryly and said, "Dad, how can this be called unconscionable? If you add more budget, you can improve the quality of the project. Besides, if you add more budget, the grain depot can ask for more money in this name. Some belong to us, some belong to the grain depot, these are all tacit secrets. That's not what the contractor does. If you don't give them this kind of sweetness, after a long time, these grain depot directors still love to do the project for you, they don't say anything, but they don't know how to scold you in their hearts." Sighing, Lu Jian went on to say, "Don't talk about anything else, Dad. What would you do the day the head of the food bureau was really transferred? Can you still receive the project without him? The grain depot is willing to do the project for you. Dad, let's just follow the trend, don't do something unique, it's the last word to get rich." Lu Fu didn't say anything, but he could see his confusion from his eyes. An upright and kind-hearted person would make all kinds of changes for the sake of money. I think his heart must be in pain at this time. Lu Jian looked at Lu Fu silently, feeling a little uncomfortable for some reason. He knew that he was destroying his father Lu Fu's concept of uprightness. It was cruel, but society is like this. If you don't change, you will be eliminated. Lu Fu doesn't want to. If you are eliminated, you must make this change. Looking up at the colorful clouds of the setting sun in the sky, Lu Jian is also very confused. Where is his way forward? Great Entrepreneur Reborn Chapter 3, Crashed Teacher, Life. Lu Fu changed much faster than Lu Jian imagined. Looking at Lu Fu, who drank and ate with the director of the grain depot every day, Lu Jian didn't know what to say. I am happy for Lu Fu's changes, but also sad for the sense of justice that has gone away. After a while, Director Wang of the Blackstone Grain Depot frequently went to the city's grain bureau to ask for project funds, but Lu Fu did not show up, and prepared an additional budget report with the accountant of the Blackstone Grain Depot, and the rest had nothing to do with Lu Fu. As long as there are benefits, everything will be easy to handle. Lu Fu, who has been unable to pay for the project, finally saw the power of professional debt collectors and understood that some things are not up to the director alone. The project money was quickly transferred to the account of the grain depot, without delay, and the money quickly reached Lu Fu's hands. Of course, these officials can't do it for nothing. According to Lu Fu's idea, everyone can give 1,200 yuan. Corrupt officials in this era are far less black than those of later generations. With a monthly salary of several hundred yuan, 1,000 yuan is a big gift. Up. Lu Jian stopped it. Compared to Lu Fu's simplicity, Lu Jian knew the twists and turns here. Maybe it wasn't that Lu Fu didn't understand, but Lu Fu rarely thought about the dark side, and some things were out of date. Lu Jian said, "Dad, I'm not afraid of giving too much, but I'm afraid they won't accept it. It's not only for the previous project funds, but also for the additional budget of the project. Everyone knows how to divide the additional budget. It's also a default thing to deduct a part. As for how much to deduct, it's not their own decision. Besides, they didn't stay here because they wanted to find a way to get a bonus or something. In this case, why don't we be good people? Make a call. For example, they plan to add 100,000 yuan to the grain depot for the additional budget. In the end, the 100,000 yuan will be distributed among the employees of the entire grain depot. How much will be left in the hands of these leaders? If we privately give 50,000 yuan to these leaders, will they still want the remaining 50,000? If not, it will be ours, so we will get 50,000 more. Which one is more and which one is less? After Lu Jian said so, Lu Fu also knew what to do. It was the first time to give such a big gift. Lu Fu was very worried that the money would be wasted. Out of trust in Lu Jian, Lu Fu gritted his teeth, and the big gift was sent out. Corrupt officials these days are more trustworthy, and the benefits are immediate. After half of the project, not only 2/3 of the project cost, but also an additional budget of nearly 200,000 yuan, which was originally a project of more than 800,000 yuan. Now it has passed 1 million, and how much will be added in the future is not certain. The accountant of the grain depot told Lu Fu privately that these are all Lu Fu's, and the grain depot will not make a balance. After leaving the financial gate, looking at Lu Jian who was leaning on the bitch and smoking Hongtashan, Lu Fu sighed. He didn't know whether his son was growing up too fast, or he was getting old, and his son had to remind him of so many things. Lu Fu was a little strange. Looking at Lu Jian's performance during this time, how could he not study well? Thinking about it, Lu Fu didn't know that IQ and EQ are two different concepts. Talking about these things when chatting with Lu's mother at night, Lu's mother gave a summary: "You are old, listen to your son, not to mention anything else. You earn more by doing a project." Standing at the gate of City Number 1 Middle School, Lu Jian felt a little broken. Lu Fu, who had never expected Lu Jian to learn, put all Lu Jian's ideas during this period of time into Lu Jian's culture. Lu Fu, who had no culture, he insisted that it was all these years of study that allowed Lu Jian to grasp the key points and see through many problems, so he discussed with Lu's mother, and Lu Jian was sent back to school sadly. What made Lu Jian even more devastated was that because all the freshmen had finished reporting, he became a shameful transfer student. What is this? Speaking of which, Lu Jian's childhood life was good. A few days ago, he bought a whole set of Nikes for his mother, with a Motorola mobile phone in his hand, and 3.5 brand cigarettes in his pocket. An 18-year-old social youth, in this era, it is rare not to mention the only one. Unexpectedly, within a few days of the happy days, he was reformed again. Thinking of the fierce quarrel that day, Lu Jian still had a chill in his forehead. If he didn't run fast, he might be beaten up by Lu Fu. Don't look, Lu Jian is a boy and a half, but facing Lu Fu who is a scout, he has only one fate: to be beaten. When Kong Xianrong walked out of the principal's office, his face was still a little pale. As a major, what he hated the most were bargaining students. Not to mention poor grades, these students were often the most mischievous. Not only did they not study, but they also affected others' learning. What's more, it's been a month since the start of school, let alone a student who is a bargaining student, and what's even more annoying is that this student's grades are not even high enough for ordinary high schools. It is conceivable how angry this is to a teacher who rationally becomes an excellent class teacher and strives to let every student be admitted to a university. Lu Jian didn't know that he hadn't attended class yet, and was already hated by the head teacher. Even if he knew, he wouldn't care. Before coming here, he had made an appointment with Lu Fu. He was the same at school, learning as much as he could. As for going to college in the future, Lu Fu had already decided to spend money on Lu Jian as well. So the father and son reached an agreement that they would never make Lu Jian's grades an issue, nor would they force Lu Jian to attend classes every day. Looking at the house number of Class 6, Lu Jian sighed with emotion at the greatness of inertia. Even though he was late for school for so long, he was still assigned to this class. Looking at Lu Jian behind him, Kong Xianrong didn't know what to say. Thinking of the conversation in the office just now, Kong Xianrong felt a black line on his forehead. Originally, he planned to give the new kid a bad start and let him be honest, so Kong Xianrong sat on the stool and corrected the test papers, ignoring Lu Jian. Unexpectedly, after waiting for a long time, no one spoke, and when I looked up, I almost lost my breath. Lu Jian took out a novel from his school bag and was reading it with great interest. Although Lu Jian didn't study well in his previous life, he didn't cause trouble. He played basketball, football, and occasionally skipped classes, but he didn't do anything too much. So these teachers have a good relationship with Lu Jian. I understand very well. For this dismounting, when Lu Jian knew that he was assigned to the 6th class, he was mentally prepared. Lu Jian was forced to go to school this time. After staying in the society for so many years, he no longer has the fear of teachers, so he just does one thing at a time. Lu Jian looked at Kong Xianrong, whose face was pale with anger, and said with a smile, "Mr. Kong, I was forced to go to school, and you were forced to accept me, so we are in the same boat." Kong Xianrong was taken aback by Lu Jian's words, and then he couldn't laugh or cry. Lu Jian went on to say, "Mr. Kong, let's make an agreement. At school, I decided not to cause trouble for you, and it will not affect the teaching of each teacher. You also treat it as if you don't have me as a student, just treat me as a student. It's an audition. I have a high school diploma, so I might be able to go to college. If you are in the 3rd year of high school, you are afraid that it will affect the promotion rate of the class, so I can go to other schools to sign up." Kong Xianrong looked at the student talking to him through the light, and was suddenly surprised. What kind of student is this? How could he have such a mature idea? Waiting for students? Kong Xianrong rolled his eyes and asked, "In this case, why did you come to number 1 middle school? Wouldn't it be better and more free to go to the private Yucai high school? Besides, since you are in my class, you are my student, how can I let you go free?" Lu Jian slapped his head angrily. Why did he have such a short memory? What this teacher likes most is to lead a poor student to the right path. In his last life, in order to correct himself, this class teacher stared at him for 3 full years until the end of the college entrance examination. It was over and fell into his hands, and he still wanted to be free. Lu Jian accompanied him with a bright smile and said, "Teacher, just let me go, I'm really not good at studying. There are so many students in the class, and they are all more important than me. You should keep an eye on them. Teacher, to tell you the truth, I am helping in my father's company now. Even if I am in school now, if there is something in the company, I still have to deal with it. I don't have time to study hard. How will my study help me in my future life, so please let me go." On the way from the office to the classroom, Kong Xianrong was still thinking about what Lu Jian said. "I don't know how all these studying for the college entrance examination will help me in my future life," and wanted to refute Lu Jian's point of view, but Kong Xianrong thought after a long time, "I didn't know what to say," so when I got to the door of the classroom, Kong Xianrong's face was still dark, even darker than when he came out of the principal's office. In the end, Kong Xianrong did not agree to Lu Jian's request and arranged him in a corner. Kong Xianrong knows that this transfer student is different from all the students in the class, and has obvious weariness of learning. It is a pity that Lu Jian's logical thinking ability and language expression ability are obviously higher than other students, so how can such a student give up? Reading www.uukangshu.com. How can he let himself go? Kong Xianrong made a secret determination to bring Lu Jian back to the right path. Sitting in the 4th row, Zhang Ying looked at Lu Jian under the podium, her eyes lit up. It was still the same familiar face with the same nonchalant attitude, but her temperament had changed, and she no longer had the old look on her body. Impetuous, Zhang Ying let out a long breath, and said secretly in her heart, "Lu Jian, you are still here, I knew we would meet again. How can you be so proud of being left behind by others? How could you not be the last of the rock? Good high school attendance. Although I don't know why, you have delayed for so long, but you finally came." Lu Jian also saw the girl who is always so dazzling in the crowd. Her eyes are still so bright, her hair is still so black and long, under a pair of big eyes, with a high nose bridge, and a small mouth like a cherry, like a willow leaf. Perfection, perfect on a white melon-seeded face, who is not amazed by it, who is not crazy about it. I remembered the phone call I received many years later in the middle of the night. Lu Jian, I'm leaving the country. You wait for me, you must wait for me, and we will get married when I return to China. Just for this sentence, I waited hard for 10 years. When my parents couldn't bear it, they took me back to Panchir, arranged a job, and arranged a marriage. I still didn't hear from the girl. Before being reborn, Lu Jian was always wondering whether Zhang Ying would get married in a foreign country, or wait for her wedding day to kill her and drag her away from the scene, or if she had an accident already, and she just left herself to live hope. But all of this did not wait for his confirmation, and he was reborn and returned to the present. Maybe I never wanted to go to high school again, and what I was afraid of was facing this girl again, Lu Jian asked himself in his heart, and then looked at the playground outside the window speechlessly. What a life. Great Entrepreneur Reborn Chapter 4, Obscure Love, Unknown Agreement. Looking at the familiar classroom and familiar classmates, the only thing that is different is his mood. Looking at that eye-catching girl, Lu Jian felt a little bitter in his heart. How should he face Zhang Ying? How should he deal with the two of them? The relationship, let's leave it to time. Lu Jian's seat was not arranged in the front row, but Kong Xianrong arranged Lu Jian in the fifth row according to his height, which is the center of the classroom. There are countless small notes passing by here every day, and Lu Jian has an urgent desire to set up a toll station, which is called sitting and collecting money. Lu Jian's deskmate is a fat boy named Meng Qing, who is white, fat and cute. Lu Jian almost didn't laugh when he looked at Meng Qing's round face. Lu Jian knows what kind of dark side this seemingly honest boy has in his heart. There is one word to describe him, weak and bad. Lu Jian refrained from going up to hug Meng Qing, and said hello lightly. There is a lot of time, so just touch slowly. Meng Qing said very familiarly, Hi, my name is Meng Qing. Why are you here so late? Lu Jian smiled and said, My grades are too scary. The principal of number 1 middle school has been thinking about it for a long time. He is really worried about what I will do in the society. He thinks it is better to take me in and make some contributions to the people. Meng Qing blinked his eyes, confused by Lei. The children nowadays are still relatively well behaved, far less talkative than the later generations who have been influenced by the internet. Seeing Kong Xianrong's eyes staring at this, Meng Qing immediately shut up, and Lu Jian was not like being called out and criticized just after reporting for duty, he just smiled and shut up. Kong Xianrong was almost irritated by Lu Jian's smile, but he didn't know what he was thinking, and he didn't criticize by name. After class, before Meng Qing could ask anything, Zhang Ying stood beside Lu Jian's desk. Meng Qing's mouth was wide open, and other students in the class also noticed what happened here. High school is the stage of budding relationships. Zhang Ying's outstanding appearance has attracted the attention of countless boys, but every boy who comes forward is coldly rejected by Zhang Ying. No one expected that today this unattractive boy would attract Zhang Ying's attention. Zhang Ying didn't think too much, only seeing Lu Jian's joy for the first time. Why did you come? They all said you didn't read, and went to help uncle. Seeing the murderous eyes around him, Lu Jian thought it would be better to leave here, so he pulled Zhang Ying out of the classroom, leaving behind the shattered glasses. Standing by the pond in the school, the two of them didn't know how to speak, but Lu Jian picked up the topic, I'm really going to help Dad, and I don't plan to read it anymore. Zhang Ying's expression froze for a moment. What did you say? Didn't you promise me a long time ago that we will go to high school and college together? Lu Jian couldn't help but think of that afternoon when the two of them strolled along the train track and agreed to go to high school together, go to college together, work together, and stay together for the rest of their lives. In retrospect, it may have only been a matter of a few months for Zhang Ying, but it has been a matter of a lifetime for Lu Jian. Thinking of the unknown ending, Lu Jian couldn't help feeling a pain in his heart, and opened his mouth not knowing what to say. Lu Jian and Zhang Ying are not childhood sweethearts in the traditional sense. They are at the same table in elementary school. In order to be in the same school as Zhang Ying in middle school, Lu Jian did not choose the strongest number 3 middle school, but chose number 4 middle school, which is undergoing transformation. The number 4 middle school, which is undergoing reform, divides male and female students into classes, and two people can only look at each other after class to confirm each other's existence. Only on the way after school can the two walk together and maintain that hazy relationship. Zhang Ying looked at Lu Jian, who was not speaking, and felt the pain as if her heart was broken, and she didn't know what happened. Tears flowed out. On a sunny morning, by the school pond, cicadas were chirping non-stop. A hesitant boy and a tearful girl stood there like a painting or a poem. Many years later, recalling that afternoon, the two looked at each other, smiled lightly, and said nothing. On the first day of school, Lu Jian dragged Zhang Ying, the most beautiful girl in the class, to play truant, which became the most unacceptable topic in the 6th class of the year. Meng Qing looked at the empty desk next to him, and murmured, it's amazing, no wonder you would do such things in the society, but you would do it differently in school. The rest is ruthless. He scolded the principal fiercely. How could such a scum let him enter number 1 middle school? That morning, neither of the two said what happened by the pond, but after that, the two didn't say a word, and only occasionally when they looked at each other, could they discover each other's mind. The students who were all waiting to watch the excitement found that after that day, after they had no contact, they both felt extremely different and somewhat relaxed. No one hoped that that beautiful girl would become someone else's hand from now on. So there was a boy on the campus of number 1 middle school who wore a famous brand every day, and occasionally stood in the corridor, smoking a cigarette and talking on the phone. Lu Jian returned to the campus with such an indifferent attitude. That night, Lu Fu's family of 3 drove around with gifts. Speaking of which, this was still Lu Jian's suggestion. During this period of time, Lu Fu followed Lu Jian's suggestion and visited the homes of friends who had helped him over the years. After Jian's words, he was suddenly surprised. Lu Jian said, "Dad, you are rich now, and these friends will do things for you after a few greetings. Do you think it is because of your relationship or because of your money? These friends have helped you so much, you always want to let me express it. At this time, I don't make much contact with each other, but give more benefits. In case we get into trouble, or the business fails, there is no chance of making a comeback." Lu Fu was stunned after hearing this. He knew what his son said was right, but he couldn't accept the thought that a friend with a good relationship needs money to maintain it. Mother Lu looked at Lu Fu, who was stunned, and asked, "Xiao Jian, what do you think should be done?" Lu Jian looked at the mother who was passing the message, and gave a thumbs up quietly, knowing that this was because the mother was afraid that the father would not save face, and then said, "Dad, I think so, you friends have helped so much, why should I do it? Think about it. Nowadays, strangers have to treat guests to dinner when they do business, and there is no need for this in your relationship." Lu Fu also nodded at this time and said, "I think so too, there is no need to eat this meal as friends are doing something, and the restaurant's food is not good, or let your mother prepare to order, I ask they come to eat at home." Lu Jian patted his forehead and said, "Dad, they still missed our family's meal, and you also said where your relationship is. My idea is to prepare some gifts for them, and you can't give this gift, you sending it off will hurt your feelings. Prepare some presents," and it was he who gave them. Hearing what his son said, Lu Fu couldn't figure it out. Lu Jian smiled and said, "I mean, prepare some gifts. Our family will go to visit, and then let my mother give them out. Dad must know that the most powerful thing in this world is pillow wind, so let my mother send some gifts to those ants. Auntie or something, not only satisfying your feelings, but also making them feel happy, that you are enough friends, isn't that better?" According to Lu Jian's idea, Lu Fu bought some tobacco and alcohol, and prepared a bunch of gold jewelry. Gold was very cheap at this time, tens of dollars per gram, and a set of 3 gold jewelry didn't cost much, but the effect received was surprisingly good. Sure enough, taking the wife's route is the best route. These friends didn't say it before, but they can't help but have some opinions in their hearts. "I have done so many things for you, and I haven't seen your expression." A pile of jewelry was given away, and there were no complaints, and the relationship between the buddies was stronger than before. The housewife, Mother Lu, also has a lot of mahjong friends, and she no longer stays at home watching TV all day. Now Lu Jian doesn't need her to worry about it at all. Playing mahjong has become Mother Lu's profession. Chen Sheng, the most important of Lu Fu's friends, is going today. Chen Sheng and Lu Fu met by chance. They both served in the army and had a common language. Chen Sheng is now the deputy mayor of Panjshir City. Of course, he is a relatively low-ranking deputy mayor and has no real power. Lu Jian, who has the advantage of being reborn, knows that Chen Sheng has a good background, from the deputy mayor to the mayor, the secretary of the municipal party committee, and finally the director of the National People's Congress. Even after retiring to the second line, he still has great power. He has never left Panjshir, and the cadres he trained are all over Panjshir's various agencies. The job before Lu Jian's rebirth was done by Lu Fu with shamelessness and asked Chen Sheng to do it. The relationship between Lu Fu and Chen Sheng has always been very good. Later, Lu Jian's family fell into decline, which did not affect the personal relationship between the two. Lu Fu always thought that the two were pure friends, and no matter how difficult they encountered, he would not talk to Chen Sheng. Chen Sheng offered to help, but reading www.yuukangshu.com Lu Fu couldn't bear to refuse. It was not for his son's future, and maybe he would never ask Chen Sheng for help in his life. Everything has changed in this life. After his son's enlightenment and contact these days, the reality hit Lu Fu hard. He understands that there are no pure friends in this society, and it is not more than 10 years ago. I have also done a good reflection on the relationship between myself and Chen Sheng. Connection is necessary, and it is not more than pretending to be high-minded. Friends with interests may be more useful than pure friends. Today, I arrived at Chen Sheng's house as agreed in advance. Although he is the deputy mayor at the back, Chen Sheng's home is well decorated. As soon as he entered the door, Chen Sheng greeted Lu Fu with a hug and smiled, "Brother Lu, you haven't been here for a long time. Let's have a drink tonight." Lu Fu also laughed and said, "That's right, look at the good wine I brought. This is the 30-year-old Matai obtained by many people." At this time, Matai was not as expensive as later generations, but the 30-year-old Matai aged Matai is not something ordinary people can afford to drink, and Chen Sheng, the deputy mayor, has never drank it either. At this time, the two ladies went to the kitchen and whispered while preparing the dishes. They never participated in the affairs between men. Seeing that no one was paying attention to him, Lu Jian stepped forward and called out, "Uncle Chen." He indicated his existence and his previous image really made it impossible for you to talk to him. Then he peeked around, but didn't find the opponent. Chen Sheng patted Lu Jian on the head and said, "You little bastard, why did you skip class again? What are you looking for? Your sister Shui is not at home. She went out to meet her classmates." When Chen Sheng said this, Lu Jian heaved a sigh of relief. Chen Shui is Chen Sheng's only daughter. She is a few years older than Lu Jian, but she is very powerful. Although she is a girl who can fight better than a boy, Lu Jian was often bullied by Chen Shui when she was young. It can be said that she has seen Chen Shui. Psychological shadow, Lu Jian was relieved when he heard that Chen Shui was not there. Great Entrepreneur Reborn Chapter 5, The Dark Queen Arrives. Seeing that no one paid attention to him, Lu Jian didn't treat himself as an outsider. He found the teapot and took out the prepared tea, and made tea for the two of them. The relationship between the two families has always been very good. The reason why they got farther and farther later was because Chen Sheng's official position became bigger and bigger, and on the other hand, it was also because Lu Fu's business failed. The gap between the two became wider and wider. Naturally, as the gap gradually increases, it becomes farther and farther away. After Lu Jian brewed the tea, Lu Fu and Chen Sheng had already set up chess to fight. The two played chess very well, both of which were practiced in the army. Lu Jian was waiting for the bureau next to him. Chen Sheng took a sip of tea, couldn't help raising his head, tasted it carefully and said, "Old Lu, this tea is really good. The authentic Longjing tea, where did you get it?" Lu Fu didn't raise his head and said, "Xiao Jian bought it, and I didn't ask, but it's good to drink. You also know that I am good at wine, and tea is cattle drink, so I brought it for you." After watching for a long time, Lu Fu pushed the chessboard and conceded defeat. Lu Jian replied, "Uncle Chen, I asked a friend to bring this back from Hangzhou. It seems to be Longjing before the rain. I don't understand this. My dad didn't drink much, so he brought it all for you. Chen Qing drank a few more sips, nodded, and said, "It's better to be Xiao Jian, thinking about your Uncle Chen who likes to drink tea. It's true that this tea is really good. Your father just drinks, he is not good at anything else." Lu Fu didn't care, and smiled while playing the chess. "It's like how much better you are than me, and it doesn't matter whether you drink less or less." The two were joking and teasing each other, and it didn't take long for the dishes to be ready, and several of them went to the wine table. Chen Qing's wife is called Wang Yan, who also served as a soldier, and is also a good drinker. As a result, only Lu Jian can't drink if he wants to drive. Hui went in for 2 bottles, which made Lu Jian, who was staring blankly, feel so distressed. He said that in 10 years, "I will see if you feel distressed when you think of tonight." After drinking, Lu Fu and Chen Qing sat in the living room and chatted. Mother Lu and Wang Yan went back to the bedroom. They didn't know whose family they were talking about. Looking at Lu Fu who was still talking about the mountains, Lu Jian couldn't help feeling a little anxious. Why didn't Lu Fu see what was agreed in advance? Seeing Lu Jian with an anxious expression on his face, Chen Qing couldn't help laughing and said, "Xiao Jian, what's the matter? See how anxious you are." Lu Fu patted Lu Jian on the head angrily and said, "You little bastard, you don't have any hair. What's the relationship between me and your Uncle Chen? Is there anything I can hide from him? I'm waiting for him to ask." "You." Lu Jian rubbed his head, knowing that the relationship between the two was deeper than he imagined, so he hid aside in embarrassment. Chen Qing smiled and said, "Okay, what to say to the child, brother, what's the matter?" Lu Fu said unceremoniously, "It's not the child's attention. He said that if I have money, I also need to have an identity, otherwise I will suffer sooner or later. He means to let me get a personal representative. I think what he said makes sense. I'm here to ask your opinion, and you know I don't know anything about politics." Chen Qing looked at Lu Jian at the side, nodded and said, "Well, this matter is fine, you are not in the system, and it is convenient to have the status of a personal Congress representative to do things. This child can think of these things, and he has grown a lot. Eldest brother, among other things, Xiao Jian is in high school now. Why do you still let him skip classes casually? It is the time to lay the foundation. If you don't study hard, you may not be able to go to university." Lu Fu smiled wryly and said, "You told Uncle Chen that I'm too lazy to explain this matter. Several friends have criticized me for this matter, but this child just doesn't go to school honestly." Chen Qing glanced at Lu Jian. He had no son, so he regarded Lu Jian as his own son, so his tone was naturally bad. "Come here, tell me what's going on. Your father spoils you, I don't spoil you." Hearing Chen Qing's cold tone, Lu Jian was a little embarrassed. After hesitating for a while, he said, "Uncle, you know, I go to school late, and my grades are not good. With the score I got in the exam, it's a waste of time to go to general high school, and I don't even have to think about going to college. Even if I pass the exam, wait until I'm 25 years old after graduating from college, and I don't want to waste that time. If my father didn't force me, I wouldn't even be in high school." Chen Qing looked at Lu Jian seriously, knowing that this was what he had in mind, and asked, "Then what are your plans in the future?" "A college diploma is a stepping stone in the future. Without this, I'm afraid you will regret it in the future." Lu Jian shook his head and said, "I will learn something from me, accumulate experience, and start my own business if I have the opportunity. I can't study, but I can do other things." Chen Qing was very surprised by the confidence in his tone. Chen Qing looked at Lu Jian in surprise, turned his head and said to Lu Fu, "Brother, okay, your son has grown up, and last year he looked like a spoiled kid. Okay. Lu Fu was very surprised when he heard Chen Qing say 3 good things in succession. Chen Qing didn't praise others easily, and his son was only good to himself. Lu Fu smiled modestly, "Okay, stop boasting, if you praise again, your tail will go up to the sky." Chen Qing also laughed, and the topic became lighter. After a while, Wang Yan and Lu's mother came out of the bedroom and looked at the lively living room. The gossiping Wang Yan asked, "What are you talking about?" "I'm so happy." Lu Jian looked at his mother, and Lu's mother nodded ignorantly. Lu Jian let out a sigh of relief, knowing that the purpose of coming today has been achieved, and he put his mind at ease. He ha. As soon as the car started, Lu Jian hurriedly asked, "How is Mom, has Aunt Chen accepted it?" Lu's mother said, "I declined for a long time, and then I accepted as you said, Xiao Xue will graduate soon, and I can use it to find a job." Lu Fu rubbed his eyes aside and said, "Xiao Jian, is it necessary? Your Uncle Chen is not an outsider. You are not afraid that he will think we are strangers if you give such a big gift. My relationship with him is different to others. Now a mobile phone is more expensive than a TV, and the phone bill is charged every month, which adds up to tens of thousands." Lu Jian nodded and said, "It's absolutely necessary. This is not for Uncle Chen but for Sister Xiao Xue. I didn't bother Uncle Chen before, so I didn't bother him. Who knows what will happen in the future? Let's do things first, then it's easy to talk." At this time, giving gifts makes it even more obvious that we don't have any utilitarian intentions, but are just helping. While talking, Lu Fu's cell phone rang, and when he picked up the phone, Chen Xing's voice came from over there, "Brother, what are you doing? Isn't it a joke to give such expensive things to children?" Lu Fu laughed and said, "What kind of nonsense, and precious things, Xiao Jian also has one in his pocket now. I'm not for you, but for the children. Xiao Xue is about to graduate, and she will use it for job hunting and so on. It is also convenient to have a mobile phone. I know you are in the system, and some things are inconvenient. Who am I? When I grow up, I am no different from my own daughter. There is a big difference in age between the two children. Why don't you let Xiao Xue be my daughter-in-law? Okay, let her come to see me when Xiao Xue comes back, and she won't come to see me when she comes back me. Xiao Jian misses his sister Xue all day long." Hearing the last sentence, Lu Jian almost didn't step on the brakes. Oh my, it scared me to death. That savage girl, even when she couldn't find a wife in her previous life, Lu Jian never thought of marrying her. Seeing Chen Xue, Lu Jian was like a mouse seeing a cat, and all his courage was gone. When Lu Fu put down the phone, Lu Jian hurriedly said, "Dad, what nonsense are you talking about? What if Chen Xue comes to see me?" Lu Fu snorted and said, "You think I'm talking nonsense? Your mother and I already had this idea. We're just afraid that Xiao Xue won't love you." Lu Jian shook his head and said, "I don't like her either. I feel psychologically disturbed when I see her, and besides her temper, she doesn't look like a girl no matter what." Lu Fu looked at Lu Jian with a wry smile, and said to himself, "My son is good everywhere, why is he so afraid of girls?" It's no wonder the two old people think so. Since they were young, they haven't seen Lu Jian have any female friends, and they always hide away when they see girls. The other children are all in love at this time, so he didn't see them. A female friend had called him, and it seemed that this was the root of the problem. If Lu Fu knew that Lu Jian had an ambiguous little girlfriend at school and an inexplicable agreement, he wouldn't think so. These are all illusions made by Lu Jian in fear of Zhang Ying's misunderstanding. Now watching Lu Jian's performance is very successful. Maybe there is a dream in the night. Lu Jian seemed to see a woman wearing a black leather jacket and leather pants, wearing a hideous mask, holding a whip, sitting on a stool, and holding a glass at the same time. Drinking red wine, while beating himself with a whip, Lu Jian was frightened into a cold sweat, and sat up with a bang, still yelling, Don't. When he opened his eyes, it turned out that it was a dream. Just as he took a breath, the phone rang. Lu Jian was startled and took a deep breath. As soon as the phone was connected, a woman came from inside. Voice, Xiao Jian, what are you doing? You answer my calls so late, you want to die. As soon as Lu Jian heard the voice on the phone, he hung up the phone in shock. Then he noticed that it was dawn, put on his clothes, went out of the bedroom, poured a glass of boiling water, and sat there quietly. At this time, the phone rang again, and before Lu Jian could speak, a deafening voice came from Yu reading www.yuukangshu.com, Xiao Jian, you want to die, you dare to hang up on me, you are so courageous, what do you think? Practice. Chen Shui's voice was still so clear and bright, but the murderous look in her tone made Lu Jian, who had just calmed down, almost hang up the phone again. Lu Jian hurriedly apologized, Sister Shui, I was wrong, it's all my fault, I was sleeping just now, and I was a little unconscious. Lu Jian kept apologizing, but he didn't dare to quibble, he just kept apologizing. No one could do anything if he met a female bully, not to mention Lu Jian had been conditioned for so many years, everything that Sister Shui said was right. There is no way for anyone to be bullied from the age of 5 or 6, and be beaten up every now and then, and it will be the same for more than 10 years. It's not that Lu Jian didn't think about fighting back and beating Chen Shui to let her know how powerful a man is, the problem is that she really can't beat him. Both Chen Shui's parents were soldiers, and her uncle is still in the army. Chen Shui played in the army a lot when she was young, and learned a whole body of kung fu, such as sanda, military boxing, unlimited fighting skills, and wolf defense skills. The experimental subject is Lu Jian. Don't look at Lu Jian fighting a lot when he was in middle school, compared to Chen Shui, he is nothing. Hearing that Lu Jian's attitude was still persistent and sincere, Chen Shui calmed down and said, "Okay, hurry up and pick me up by car, my sister wants to use your car." Lu Jian said with some hesitation, "Sister Shui, I still have to go to school, and my dad may still need a car." The big phone was scared to death, but Lu Jian didn't have the courage to face Chen Shui. Chen Shui giggled and said, "Okay, what school do you study? Just pretend I don't know what's going on with you. Hurry up and drive the car, uncle and I have agreed." Lu Jian really didn't want to go, he wished Lu Fu had something to do, but Chen Shui had already thought about everything. How could Lu Jian take advantage of the loopholes? Great Entrepreneur Reborn Chapter 6, A Blind Date Arranged by the Queen. When we arrived downstairs at Chen Sheng's house, Lu Jian looked at his watch and it was only 8 o'clock. After waiting for a long time, he still didn't see Chen Shui. Lu Jian had no choice but to call Chen Shui and asked, "Sister Shui, I'm going downstairs to your house. Now, when are you coming down?" Chen Shui's answer almost choked Lu Jian to death. "Wait, I just woke up and haven't put on makeup yet, so why bother?" "Damn, it was you who asked me to come." "Okay, you just got up, didn't you just call me in the bed?" Thinking about the scene of Xian and I, a picture that is not suitable for children flashed in Lu Jian's mind. Lu Jian did not guess wrong, Chen Shui did call Lu Jian from under the covers. Seeing that Lu Fu gave her a mobile phone last night, she was very happy. She wanted to call at that time, but Wang Yan saw that the time was too late and didn't let her call. Lu Jian waited for a while, and was about to fall asleep in a daze. He heard someone knocking on the car window, and saw Chen Shui wearing a red dress, standing in front of the car. Lu Jian looked at his watch. It was past 9 o'clock, and it took a long time for women to put on makeup. Lu Jian didn't complain about anything, and it was useless to talk to Chen Shui, or he would just seek abuse by himself. Chen Shui got into the co-pilot's seat, looked at Lu Jian and smiled and said, "Not bad, dress upright, so I won't embarrass you, Sister Shui." Lu Jian smiled and said, "Sister Shui, you are still so beautiful, there are not many boys chasing you in college." Chen Shui shook her hair and said with a smile, "Of course, you don't even look at who I am. At school, your Sister Shui is a school beauty." Lu Jian nodded hurriedly. Indeed, Chen Shui had the qualifications to say this. Chen Shui is indeed very beautiful, close to 1.7 meters tall, with long black and beautiful hair, a round face, a little baby fat, but with big eyes and double eyelids. The eyes are big and blink very energetically, the shoulders on both sides are flat, and the slender thighs are typical clothes racks. You can find this beauty at a glance. It's the boys who see it and have such thoughts in their hearts. This person does not include Lu Jian. What kind of demonic elf Lu Jian is hiding under the beautiful sky? Even 2 or 3 young men couldn't move forward. If a young man like Lu Jian stepped up, he would be knocked down after a couple of slaps. Lu Jian didn't dare to flirt with Chen Shui, so he just treated himself as a driver today, and asked, "Sister Shui, where are you going?" "I skipped school to accompany you today, enough to give you face." Chen Shui said, "First go to the tax bureau area to pick up someone, and then find a place to eat, I'm hungry." Lu Jianxin said that I haven't eaten yet, so hurry up and pick him up. When I drove to the gate of the tax bureau, there was a girl standing there. Girls in northeast China are generally taller, many of them are of mixed Man-Han race, and there are many more beautiful women than in other places. In his previous life, Lu Jian heard about this from a friend who worked in Hangzhou. Since ancient times, the proverb that beautiful women come out of Suzhou and Hangzhou was denied by Lu Jian, who said that there are far less beautiful women there than in the northeast. Moreover, beauties are scarce resources, and many of them are taken care of by rich people. As soon as the car stopped, Chen Shui opened the car door, dragged the girl and chirped for a long time before the two got in the car, and both of them sat in the back seat. Mi Lu looks in his early years, his hair is not very long, he looks like an honest child, with a round face, his eyes narrow into a small slit when he smiles, and his little nose is wrinkled very nicely. Seeing Lu Jian peeking from the rearview mirror, Chen Shui slapped Lu Jian on the shoulder and said, "What are you looking at? Have you seen any beautiful women? Hurry up and find a place to eat, I'm almost starving to death." He whispered to the girl beside him, "Meow meow, this is my younger brother Lu Jian, he looks very honest, I tell you that he's a pervert, please be careful." The girl named Meow Meow looked at Lu Jian and was very suspicious of Chen Shui's words. Lu Jian looked young, with a sunny smile on his face, a height of about 1.75 meters, and a fair and handsome look. The boy a girl likes at this age doesn't look like a pervert no matter what. Lu Jian didn't do it as soon as he heard it. The title of pervert can't be easily hung on his head, so he hurriedly said, "Sister Shui, we don't bring such wronged people, I am an honest person." Chen Shui sneered and said, "You little pervert, you forgot to peek at me changing clothes, you dare to say that you didn't jump into the tub to take a bath with me, you even touched me secretly, took advantage of me, and you dare to say that I wronged you." Lu Jian collapsed when he heard this, and smiled wryly, "Sister Shui, I was only 5 or 6 years old at the time and I was just curious." "How can you still remember it after so many years?" Chen Shui snorted and said, "Xiao Mian, take advantage of me and I will remember you for the rest of my life, stop talking nonsense and find a restaurant to eat." Lu Jian was so shocked that he found a porridge shop, and the three of them drank some porridge and a few side dishes, and became familiar with each other. Miao Miao's name is Yu Miao and Chen Shui are high school classmates, they failed the college entrance examination, and they haven't passed the exam after a year of review. The family arranged a job for me, and now I work in the Industrial and Commercial Bureau. Chen Shui and Yu Miao are best friends. Chen Shui has a carefree personality, her voice is always bright and majestic, very attractive, she is pretty and has a good relationship with boys, which makes girls dislike Chen Shui. Yu Miao is an exception. Yu Miao is a typical little girl, quiet and honest, always looking at you when she speaks, for fear of arousing other people's opinions, she listens to Chen Shui very much. It's also Chen Shui's friends who don't listen to her. This is a girl with a queen personality, and it's almost the same if she doesn't say that her opinions cannot be violated. After the three of them finished their meal, Lu Jian drove the two of them to Guanma Karst Cave, which is the only tourist attraction in Panchir, a natural stalactite cave, and Chen Shui's destination. After the cave was discovered, it attracted the attention of many departments. Jin Yong's martial arts novel, Flying Fox in the Snow Mountain, was filmed here. It is a pity that it has not been developed. The city government did not make good use of this tourism resource and turned it into a special attraction, so it sold tickets and maintained it for many years. Now is the most popular time for Guanma Karst Cave. After the TV series are finished, there are many tourists. Chen Shui had never been here before, but when she went to college, she learned that there was such a place in Panchir from her classmates, so she came back to travel specially. The stalactites in Guanma Karst Cave may have been formed thousands or even tens of thousands of years ago. From the middle of the mountain into a dark and huge cave, there is a winding path, and you will find stalactites of various shapes on the side of the road, which are the treasures of nature. Walking deep into the cave, there is a huge room. Looking up, it is tens of meters high. It seems that the entire mountain has been hollowed out. There are more than a dozen stalactite pillars on the roof, which are formed drop by drop. Going further, you will see an underground well, and you will find a room at a depth of more than 100 meters underground. There are many icicles in it. The thick ones are as thick as human legs. Walking down the path, you will pass through the entire mountain range and come to the foot of the mountain. If you don't go from the underground well, if you continue to move forward, you will find a river, and you can go out of the cave by paddling a boat and go to the reservoir in the back mountain. Shocked by the mystery of nature, the three of them fought and fought. It didn't take long for Lu Jian and Yu Miao to get acquainted with each other. Yu Miao is much more generous, and also released her own nature. She is also a lively girl, maybe because of her tutoring, maybe because of being with Chen Shui, she has been suppressing her nature. Lu Jian purposely amused Yu Miao after a few times. I didn't notice the strange look in Chen Shui's eyes. In the end, he took a lot of photos, but Lu Jian didn't notice that he and Yu Miao took the most photos together. On the way back, Chen Shui sat in the passenger seat. After entering the urban area, she saw Yu Miao falling asleep and said secretly, "Xiao Jian, how can I be a good girlfriend?" Lu Jian didn't react and said, "Not bad, she looks pretty and has a good personality." Chen Shui snorted when she heard it. "Why do you mean that my personality is not good?" Lu Jian hurriedly said, No, who is my sister Shui, the #1 beauty in Tianzi, the smartest, kindest, and most beautiful. I dare not say if I have it." Chen Shui was very happy to be praised. She looked at Lu Jian with a gentler look in her eyes. Lu Jian secretly wiped the sweat from his forehead. Chen Shui narrowed her eyes and said with a smile, "Let me tell you, Miao Miao is a good girl, but she is too honest. I can't cover her after I go to school, for fear that others will bully her. After you read www.yuukangshu.com, she treats her like me. If you let me know that she has been bullied, I won't let you go." Lu Jian's head was a little confused and he asked, "Wait, Sister Shui, what do you mean? I'm only a freshman in high school. You asked me to take care of someone who goes to work. Let me pass." This is not a good job. Lu Jian didn't want to accept it, and he didn't have the time to accept it. Chen Shuibai gave him a look and said, "Xiao Mian, look at you stupid, not only let you take care of her, but also give you a chance to take good care of her, she is a big beauty. If my dad didn't say that you grew up like a man, nothing bad, I will introduce you to my best girlfriend." Only then did Lu Jian realize that his relationship was to introduce his girlfriend to him today, but when he thought of Zhang Ying in school, it was still a mess, and he didn't know what to do. Could it be that after he was reborn, he started to have good luck? Thinking of this, Lu Jian couldn't help turning his head and peeking at Yu Miao. He looked really good, and when he was distracted, Chen Shui, the co-pilot, shouted, "Be careful." Lu Jian hurriedly turned his head and stepped on the brakes, only to notice a person suddenly appeared on the empty road just now. After the car stopped, Lu Jian frowned. He didn't hear the sound of the impact. He was at least tens of centimeters away from the person in front of him, and the person fell down. Yu Miao, who was sleeping behind, was also awakened by Chen Shui's shout and asked, "Xiao Shui, what's wrong?" Chen Shui frowned and said, "Miao Miao, I'm fine to sleep with you." "Xiao Jian, go down and have a look, I don't think I touched it, why did he fall down?" "Be careful, if it doesn't work, I will call Dad and call the police station people come." Lu Jian nodded and said, "You two stay in the car and don't get off. It's already in the urban area. It's fine. If it really happens to me, they will suffer." Great Entrepreneur Reborn Chapter 7, My Dad is Lu Fu. When Lu Jian got out of the car and took a look, he realized that he had really met Pengxi. This man was lying on the side of the road, his legs pressed against the front wheel, which seemed to be crushed, but in fact he was still more than 10 centimeters away from the wheel. Jian saw the flaw. Lu Jian knew that the person who bumped into Porcelain was definitely not alone, so he waited for other people to appear on the stage, and soon pedestrians on the side of the road surrounded him. 4 or 5 young people surrounded him and shouted, "I bumped into someone, it seems that I bumped into someone. It's not light, it seems that your legs are broken. It's over, this man is probably going to die. It looks like you're going to go to jail, young man." The man who fell down started babbling and yelling at this moment. "Ah, it hurts me to death, my leg is broken, how do you drive, wait for me to send you to prison, oops, it hurts me to death, help me." Lu Jian just watched these people performing here, and seeing that the fire was almost ready, he sneered and said, "Act, continue to act, if your leg is broken, do you want me to press it for you? If it is not broken, find a stick, discount him. He ran to me to touch Porcelain, and he was tired of working, right?" The onlookers quit, they were noisy, some people were about to reach out to beat Lu Jian, and there were some people dragging him, it was extremely lively. At this time, another person ran over from a distance, looked at the person lying on the ground, and quickly shouted, "Brother, what's wrong with you, whoever hit you, I can't spare him." "Damn, brother, don't worry, if something happens, I will kill him to avenge you. After speaking, he stood up, and a person next to him gave a signal, and the person immediately walked over to Lu Jian and shouted, "You must have bumped into me, boy, you are finished, my brother's leg is broken, and he can't work for the rest of his life. The whole family is going to be taken care of by you, and if you don't give an explanation today, I can't get around you. If you make me anxious, I'll kill you." The more he spoke, as if he had to kill Lu Jian to relieve his anger. Taking a deep look at the young man, Lu Jian immediately recognized that this is Li Si, a gangster. Who knows that after a few years, he will become the black boss of Panchir. After that, all the bosses who develop real estate will ask him, because there are too many nail households, many people can't do anything, and the government can't do anything. Only Li Si can come forward. To settle it, no one asked how to do it, but Lu Jian also heard a lot of gossip. In fact, Li Si is the biggest nail house in Panchir, occupying many houses. Wherever he wants to develop, he can buy a house by force. Lu Jian once heard that Li Si had a one-story house of more than 30 square meters, so he was surprised to come to a shop, 2 residences, and a garage. Of course, the current Li Si is just a gangster, still hanging out in the market, without the glory of his previous life. These thoughts flashed by, Lu Jian sneered and said, "Li Si, you are awesome. Who are you going to attack Lao Tzu in front of me? I call you Lao Tzu, why did you agree? Damn you, yes, it's not that I don't want to mess around anymore, it's on me to make trouble." Li Si was stunned when he heard the young man in front of him say that. Obviously this young man knows himself, and his tone is so harsh, he is not a good stubble, but who is this, how come he has no impression? Li Si's future generations can get to that position, no matter it is due to his ruthlessness. In fact he is very smart, and his tone softened and asked, "Who are you? You have such a hard tone, and you know me, brother 4. Lu Jian sneered a few times and said, "Who am I? You don't even look at the car number and you bump into it. You're tired of doing it. Tell you my dad is Lu Fu." When he said this, Lu Jian couldn't help thinking of the famous, "My father is Li Gang," in his previous life, and he pretended to be a second-generation official. It's a pity that his father is not an official, so he can only be regarded as a second-generation rich. When Lu Fu was working in the construction industry, he always lost tools, and some thugs went to the construction site to steal things every day, until he was bumped into by Lu Fu once. Lu Fu was a soldier, so he took these thugs seriously and beat them with a shovel in the past. A leg was broken, a face was slashed, and these gangsters were almost beaten to death, and Lu Fu's reputation spread quickly. And what he said after throwing money at a few gangsters, "I have nothing else but I have money. As long as I can't beat you to death, I will respect you. If you don't accept it, come again and see if I can convince you." Lu Fu called his little apprentice Li Wu and asked him to take charge of the construction site. Li Wu is Lu Fu's young apprentice. His name is Li Wenwu. He was originally a bricklayer, but the bricklayer didn't learn it. He learned the art of beating people. He wanders around in society when he has nothing to do. Big brother, it's even worse when he arrives at Lu Fu's construction site. He cleans up all the workers on the construction site. Since no one dares to get their hands and feet dirty, some of them have become his younger brothers. People shouted, and then there were several fights with other construction sites. Li Wu was more ruthless than Lu Fu, and his reputation spread. Gradually, no one remembered his name, and they all called him Li Wu or fifth brother. It's a pity that after Lu Fu was dragged down in his previous life, Li Wu had no backing. Once he was tricked by someone else and killed a student by mistake. He was sentenced to life and was still in prison until Lu Jian was reborn. The reason why Lu Jian was so sure that it would be good to report Lu Fu's name was because now Li Wu was the idol of these gangsters. As for Lu Fu, they looked up to him even more. Sure enough, when Lu Jian said, "My father is Lu Fu," Li Si was stupefied, knowing that he had caused trouble. These little gangsters are not afraid of officials, not afraid of the police. If they mess with them, they will be arrested and locked up for a few days. Well, I lost my life. The rock is a mountainous area. If you kill someone and throw it into the mountain, you won't find it for more than 10 years. The frightened face of the one lying on the ground turned green, and he stood up immediately, not daring to run, standing there, looking at Li Si not knowing what to do. Li Si's reaction is fast, as expected of a boss-level character. He wants to leave but dare not leave. If he runs away, he can't hold his head up in front of his younger brother, and Li Wu's revenge will make them eat up suffering. He walked to Lu Jian's side and asked in a low voice, "Who is that fifth brother?" Lu Jian nodded, knowing that once Li Wu was mentioned, it would be fine, not to mention that if he didn't hit him, he didn't say anything. Lu Jian said, "Fifth brother is my senior brother, so I don't need to tell you what to do. Li Si, I heard that fifth brother said that you are a rising star, and you are a famous man. Why do you come out to do this? Don't be afraid of falling for your brother's face." As soon as Li Si heard Li Wu mention him, he was even more embarrassed, not knowing what to do, and Lu Jian gave him a hand, and he almost found a crack in the ground. Li Si said with a wry smile, "Let my brother read the joke, I can't do anything about it. I didn't expect to meet you. Please see if you cannot tell Brother Wu about this matter. I will give you an explanation, and I will spare me these things, brother." Then he gritted his teeth, stretched out his right hand and broke off the little finger of his left hand with all his strength, sweating coldly from the pain. Li Si's younger brothers were moved to tears, but no one dared to breed cats under such circumstances. Li Si also had no other choice. This matter would not be over without an explanation, and if he handed over his brother, he would not be able to mess around. And he was a fart in front of Li Wu. As long as Li Wu said something on the road, not to mention finding someone to collect the body, it would not be much worse. Lu Jian took a deep look at Li Si. He was a ruthless person, nodded and said, "Okay, this is over. By the way, Brother Wu said that you don't work in a winery. Why did you come out to do this?" Lu Jian also suddenly remembered that the winery where Li Si worked was called Sanbao Winery. It used to be a famous winery in northeast China and a pillar enterprise of Panchur. Unfortunately, it went bankrupt later. And Li Si made his fortune after the winery arrived. He found some gangsters to occupy the Sanbao Winery, and then secretly brewed and resold it himself. After a little bit of fortune, he bought the Sanbao Winery. Now Sanbao wine, although there is no yellow in the factory, I am afraid it will be soon, otherwise he would not come out to do this. Li Si broke out in a cold sweat from the pain, smiled wryly and said, "The winery has long been out of wages, and we all came out to make a few small money, and went back to have a drink." Lu Jian thought for a while, took out $1,000 from his wallet, handed it to Li Si and said, "Take it to Zyabela and connect your fingers, and the rest will go back to drink with your little brother, and this matter will be over. Go find fifth brother in 2 days, I have some things for you to do. If you can grasp it, not to mention drinking, even having a car and a house is not a problem." Li Si looked at the money in his hand. When he broke his finger just now, he might have thought about getting back in the future. He didn't expect Lu Jian to be so good at being a man, and he arranged things for him. Yu reading www.yuukangshu.com. I am at a loss, but no matter what, this is an opportunity. If I can hug the Lu family's thigh, it will be inevitable for those who are popular and spicy, and my desire for revenge will fade away. Lu Jian didn't wait for him to speak, turned around and got into the car, and drove away. The younger brother next to Li Si said, "Fourth brother, your hands are okay, this kid is too cruel, shall we find a chance?" Before he finished speaking, Li Si went up and gave a slap and scolded, "Fuck, go yourself if you want to die, don't drag me. Okay, hurry up and connect your fingers with me, and go drink later." As expected of Lu, the young master of the family is 1,000 for every move, so rich. Li Si was secretly excited, knowing that his opportunity had come. As long as he leaned on him, he would definitely have no worries about eating and drinking. Who is Lu Fu? After doing it, seeking wealth and wealth, Li Si made up his mind. In the car, Chen Shui kept looking at Lu Jian, tisk tisk, making Lu Jian confused and asked, "Sister Shui, what are you doing?" Chen Shui snorted and said, "Xiao Jian didn't see it, you are quite masculine, I used to see you groaning all the time, I never thought you would still be like this." Lu Jian smiled wryly and said, "Sister Shui, I'm just a bit of a coward in front of you, so I'm not a good guy anymore. And I didn't rely on my dad's name just now, what's the matter?" Chen Shui laughed and said, "Well, it's because you dare to pretend in front of me, I'll cut you to death." At this time, Yu Miao, who had been silent all this time, asked, Xiao Xue, who were those people just now? Chen Shui turned her head and said, it's okay, they are all punks, and Xiao Jian was scared away. Yu Miao said, oh, thought for a while and said, Xiao Xue, those little gangsters have been scared away, who is Xiao Jian? Is he a gangster? Lean on. Great Entrepreneur Reborn Chapter 8, I want to buy 3 Treasure Winery. This sentence made Chen Shui and Lu Jian speechless. Lu Jian said dumbfoundedly, I am not a gangster. My dad has an apprentice who has been in the Tao. They have heard of it. They are afraid of him, not me. Yu Miao thought for a while and said, oh, I see. But the suspicion and fear in his eyes couldn't be hidden from the two of them. Lu Jian smiled wryly, what is going on? Instead, Chen Shui asked a little strangely, what do you know? Yu Miao said, it's all played in Young and Dangerous. The biggest underworld is the boss, who never hits people. Xiao Jian is the boss, and the younger brothers are the underworld. Lu Jian collapsed, what was going on, and said with a wry smile, Comrade Yu Miao, I'm really not a gangster. Chen Shui was already teased by these two people, and then she helped Yu Miao and said, yes, Xiao Jian, you are a gangster. By the way, where should we go to eat in the gangster? Lu Jian was confused by these two women, and drove straight to Wumingju. Yu Miao's house seemed to be in good condition. Not even going in, Yu Miao's indifferent expression, thinking about it, he didn't miss eating here. The waiter at Wumingju recognized Lu Jian, mainly because he recognized Lu Jian's car. Car number 31 was the only car in the small Pancher car that was in private hands. In addition, during this period of time, Lu Jian often followed Lu Fulai. During the meal, the waiters were familiar with the young master of the Lu family. The waiter directly led the three of them to the small bag on the second floor. Lu Jian handed the menu to Chen Shui. With Chen Shui around, he would definitely not be able to order. This is the lesson learned over the years. Sure enough, Chen Shui was not polite. She ordered a pot of meat, a shredded egg, a casserole of beef brisket, a fried chicken wing with scallions, and an egg flour and corn soup, all girls' favorite dishes. As for Lu Jian, you can eat whatever you order. The three chatted while eating, and Lu Jian also knew the general situation of Yu Miao's family. Yu Miao's grandfather was the director of the tax bureau when he was not retired, and her father is now the director of the office of the local tax bureau. Now the tax bureau is not easy to get in, so Yu Miao is temporarily assigned to the industrial and commercial bureau. As soon as the staff is ready, he will definitely be transferred back to the tax bureau. Hearing what he didn't say, Lu Jian made up his mind. It seems that Yu Miao can help a lot in the future. Thinking about it this way, coupled with Yu Miao's beauty, the more pleasing to the eye and enthusiastic a lot. But Yu Miao blushed under Lu Jian's straight gaze, and kept on eating food, but Chen Shui couldn't stand it anymore. He knocked on the table and said, Xiao Jian, can you pay attention to your image? Don't be like a pervert, eat quickly, and send Miao Miao home after eating. Lu Jian was a little embarrassed by Chen Shui's words, and originally planned to ask Yu Miao whether her father was from the national tax or the local tax, but he didn't ask. When he arrived at the gate of the tax community, Lu Jian couldn't hold back, wrote his mobile phone number on a piece of paper, handed it to Yu Miao, and asked for Yu Miao's phone number by the way. Yu Miao ran back to the community in a hurry, holding the note with her face flushed. Lu Jian also sent Chen Shui home in a hurry, so as not to be molested by Chen Shui all the time. When he arrived downstairs at Chen Sheng's house, Chen Shui's expression became serious. Before getting out of the car, Chen Shui took a good look at Lu Jian and said, Xiao Jian, study hard and try to get into my sister's school. If you can pass the exam, my sister will take the postgraduate entrance examination and accompany you to university. I remember when you were young, you always yelled if you want to go to school with me, don't say I won't give you a chance. Lu Jian's tears almost didn't come down, he didn't expect that Chen Shui still remembered what he said casually. Thinking of the scene in the provincial capital in the previous life, when Chen Shui came to look for her, and she always hid secretly, I think it hurt Sister Shui's heart at that time. Otherwise, she wouldn't have gone abroad. Lu Jianxiang smiled and said, Sister Shui, don't be joking, I'm serious. Chen Shui smiled and said, of course it is true, work hard, Xiao Jian. And be nice to Miao Miao, she is such a pure girl, it is hard to find. Lu Jian didn't expect that after a few words, Chen Shui brought the topic to Yu Miao again, and hurriedly sent Chen Shui upstairs, avoiding the queen's entanglement, and went home. As soon as he entered the door, he saw Lu Fu and Lu's mother sitting on the sofa waiting for him, and Lu's mother asked him as soon as he entered the door, Xiao Jian, how does the girl introduced by Xiao Xue look like, is her personality good, is there any? Is it Missy's temper? Lu Jian couldn't help but smile and said, no, you will know so soon. Zhang Huan said with a smile, Xiao Xue called me as soon as I got home, saying that you and that girl left each other's phone numbers, and that you saw each other right. Come and tell your mother, what is the girl's name Miao Miao? Long what is it like? When will you bring it back for me and your dad to see? Lu Jian was left speechless, so he recounted what happened today. When talking about Li Si, Lu Jian frowned when he saw Lu Fu. He knew that Lu Fu was not satisfied with Lu Jian's handling. Lu Fu always looked down on him. Putting these little on Lu Fu's body, I'm afraid they won't get well. Lu Jian also has his own plans. The Sanbao distillery looks worthless. If it is used well, it will earn more than Lu Fu's projects. It is still a real enterprise. Now Lu Fu is immersed in the huge profits of the construction industry, but as long as one day Lu Fu realizes the benefits of the enterprise, and Lu Jian will persuade him to change careers. As long as he changes careers, he will not be taking on the project that caused the whole family to be heavily in debt, and will completely change the family's destiny. One step closer. Sanbao Distillery is located in the center of Panchur City. It used to be a pillar industry in Panchur City. The liquor sold out of the factory was sold as far as Guangzhou, Shenzhen and other places. After entering the 1990s, the winery began to lose money, and in the past few years, it was even unable to pay wages, and those with a little connection were transferred away from here. A few years later in history, this winery was occupied by some gangsters such as Li Si, who secretly sold a lot of equipment, and then brewed baijiu privately. The winery is not worth much, but the land in the city center is very valuable. Later, Li Si used this land to develop with others and became a real estate tycoon. Li Si found huge benefits in it and started his underworld career. Since Lu Jian was reborn, he has always wanted to change the fate of his family, and he has done well, but no fundamental changes have taken place. Today, he saw Li Si. In a flash of inspiration, Lu Jian discovered a new path, which is to acquire these companies on the verge of bankruptcy, revitalize them one by one, and become a real entrepreneur. Even if the factories do not develop very well, the land of these factories alone can make the Lu family the largest real estate tycoon in Panchur and the richest man in Panchur in real sense. Lu Jian can also fulfill his dream and become a rich second generation. Now Lu Jian has not realized the responsibility to be an entrepreneur, he has not realized what kind of existence he will become in the future, he has not realized that he will change the rock, change the Northeast, and one day change the whole of China. But you can't tell Lu Fu these things directly, and Lu Jian can't talk to Lu Fu. You can't tell Lu Fu that I am reborn. Dad, you will become a poor man in the future. As long as you listen to me, our family will die. Be a billionaire. In that case, Lu Jian will be locked up in a mental hospital soon, which is not what Lu Jian wants. Lu Jian can only be cautious, influence Lu Fu little by little, change the trajectory of this family, and move in the right direction. The most important thing now is to find a way to acquire the Sanbao winery and get the largest capital in the future. Li Si will play a very important role in the acquisition of the Sanbao winery. To do these things, Lu Fu must be persuaded to realize the role of these gangsters. These gangsters are very simple in their hearts, as long as they benefit and give them some dignity, there is nothing they dare not do. Seeing Lu Fu with a bad expression on his face, Lu Jian hurriedly lit a cigarette for Lu Fu, took one himself, and sent Lu's mother back to the bedroom in anger. Lu Jian asked, Dad, did I make a mistake in what I did today? Lu Fu nodded, knowing that his son saw his dissatisfaction just now, and said, Li Si is just a little gangster, why do you care about them? It's not like you don't know that I am bothered by these messy things. Xiao Wu is messing around in society. Angry, if it wasn't for the construction site, I wouldn't let him get in touch with those people. Why do you still take the initiative to lean up? As soon as Lu Jian heard it, his father's thoughts were the same as his guess, and he looked down on these social gangsters. Lu Jian thought for a while and said, "Dad, I don't like these gangsters either. They are parasites of society. But they will be used in some things. Some things that are inconvenient for us are not done by them. Don't say for others, let's take fifth brother as an example. If it weren't for him, our construction site wouldn't be so quiet. Even if you can fight Dad, you can't sit on the construction site all day long. Look, since fifth brother came, who has the construction site looks like us, and there is not even a troublemaker." Speaking of this matter, Lu Fu did not deny it. After Li Wu was born, nothing happened to Lu Fu's construction sites, and he did not lose things to the past. These are facts, even if Lu Fu doesn't say it. In the eyes. Lu Fu nodded and said, "That's the thing, but I already have Xiao Wu, why are you still talking about these little today? How dare they come to make trouble? What about Li Si, who is still playing hard with you, if I just give him a few kicks?" Cold sweat broke out on Lu Jian's forehead. Lu Fu was indeed the violent king. Lu Jian said, "Of course I don't dare to disturb them, but what if someone sneaks up to the next black hand? They are tiles and we are porcelain, so we can't bump into them all day long. Besides, that Li Si is Sanbao Wine as a worker in the factory, I have some ideas, and I may need him, so I will say hello in advance to make sure I know him well." When Lu Jian said that he had an idea, Lu Fu sat up straight. Lu Fu naturally saw the changes in his son. He followed him a while ago, and Lu Jian seemed to have grown up and helped him. Quite busy. Take the current project as an example. I have fewer and fewer things to do, but I earn more money, and as my son said, what I give away is a small one, and what I get is a big one. I gave some things to my old friends a few days ago, and I didn't give them away for nothing. The sum of things is not a small amount, but the relationship between friends has obviously taken a step forward these days. It used to be just a pure emotional relationship, but now it is indeed a combination of emotion and interests. Although it is not as pure as before, the connection is much more than before. Occasionally we have a meal together or play mahjong, which was never before. In particular, my son asked me to be a representative of the National People's Congress. I never thought about it before, and I didn't realize the importance of identity. I am a contractor. What's the use of being a representative of the National People's Congress? Deputies to the National People's Congress don't want to be as simple as they think on the surface. Yu reading www.yuukangshu.com can say that with this identity, they can truly enter the upper class of the rock. Many policy matters and government conveniences are available. Information channels, and an extra layer of protection. Adding up these things, it seems that Lu Jian didn't do anything. In fact, these things are more important than earning $1 million, so when he heard that his son had another idea, Lu Fu had to pay attention. Lu Jian knew that through his performance during this period, he had won the trust of his parents, and he had a little more confidence in his plan out of thin air. Lu Jian said, "Dad, you have been doing construction for so many years. Although this line of business earns fast and a lot of money, it is not a common thing. After all, this is not an enterprise, and there is no one who does not wet his shoes when he often walks by the river. What we did was more or less illegal. It's okay if no one checks, but if someone really pays attention to us, some things can't be explained. And if something happens to those leaders, Dad, you will be implicated." Lu Fu's face darkened. It's not that Lu Fu didn't know about these things, but in order to make money, Lu Fu ignored them intentionally or unintentionally. Lu Fu thought for a while and said, "Son, you have indeed grown up. It's not that Dad doesn't know about these things, but Dad is uneducated. If he hadn't been a soldier, he might not even have a job. To be able to get to this point is to dare to do it. I also know that some things are illegal, but at that time I couldn't care so much. The family needs to eat." Looking at Lu Fu's gray face, Lu Jian knew that he had spoken of Lu Fu's sadness. Lu Jian gritted his teeth and said, "Dad, so we have to change all this, we have to go back to the right business, and be a serious entrepreneur. I have never thought about what to do. When I met Li Si today, I suddenly had got an idea. Lu Fu asked, what idea? Lu Jian said word by word, I want to buy Sanbao Winery. Great Entrepreneur Reborn Chapter 9, Persuade Parents. Lu Fuding stood up suddenly and said, buy Sanbao Winery. Lu Fu didn't expect that Lu Jian's appetite would be so big, and he would open his mouth to buy a company. Remembering what he said a while ago, he believed it inexplicably if he wanted to become a big boss. Lu Jian. After calming down for a while, Lu Fu then asked, tell me about your thoughts. How did you come up with the idea of acquiring Sanbao Winery? Lu Jian said, Dad, you have been in Panchur for so many years, and you also know that Sanbao Winery was booming at the beginning. People came to buy wine everywhere, even those big hotels in the province came to us to buy wine. Who would not want to enter the winery at that time? As a worker, it's a pity that those officials are messing around. Such a big winery, because the output cannot be supplied, makes fake wine by itself, not to mention expanding the production, and finally buys ethanol directly for blending, and makes a good winery. Going out of business. Sanbao Distillery used to be a unique landscape in Panchur. Every day, the cars that came to pull wine lined up from the entrance of Sanbao Distillery to the entrance of the city government. For this reason, the city government specially allocated a large piece of land for Sanbao Distillery for parking. Just such a high-quality enterprise, a star enterprise, let the officials and gentlemen forcefully close down. I really don't know what these people are thinking. When Lu Jian was bored in the previous life, he also thought about what would happen if he became the owner of Sanbao Winery. Now that he saw the opportunity, Lu Jian was like a shark seeing blood, and wanted to tear up a few mouthfuls like crazy. Thinking of the past scenery of the winery, Lu Fu couldn't help but lamented the impermanence of the world, nodded and said, well, I know all this. The production of Sanbao Winery can't keep up, and many people can't get the goods. Putting industrial alcohol into wine, then it was wine into industrial alcohol, and now it is water into alcohol. Hey, a good winery has become what it is now. You Uncle Chen told me about this. I think back then he also came from the Sanbao Winery. But at that time, he went to the winery to make gold, to make political capital, so he is desperately transferred away like now. Today, there is no one in charge of the factory. You go on. Lu Jian smiled and said, Dad, I have inquired. Although the Sanbao Winery is about to close down, the equipment in the winery is new and can still be used. There are not many workers in the factory. It has something to do with it. The money is almost gone, and now the rest are some who are about to retire, and there are small gangsters like Li Si, who can't find a way out and have been relying on the winery. There is no big burden. Sanbao Winery has ceased production. Well, I haven't been paid for several months in a row, and if things go on like this, the equipment of the winery will be sold as scrap iron by these people, and hundreds of thousands of equipment will become scrap iron, which is a pity. Lu Fu interrupted Lu Jian and asked, Son, you didn't plan to use those devices, did you? It's useless for us to ask for these devices. Even if the price is cheap, it's useless to buy them, and it's not so good to sell them. Sell it, and you won't be able to sell it at a high price. Lu Jian shook his head and said, Dad, I'm not planning on those equipments, I'm planning on Sanbao Distillery. I bought the distillery and made wine myself. This is an enterprise. As long as it is properly operated, it will be a cornucopia. Sanbao, the equipment in the winery is the most advanced. The area of the winery is very large, and the workshop can be used. There are not too many workers, so there is no big burden. The framework of the factory is still there. If you buy it, the price will not be high, and there is still potential for development. I think this is an excellent opportunity. Taking a careful look at Lu Fu, Lu Jian said, Dad, you don't want to be called a contractor everywhere you go. This is an opportunity. Whether you are the boss of a company or a contractor, it's up to you. Gone. When Lu Fu heard his son say, everywhere he goes, people are called contractors, his heart skipped a beat. He has earned a lot of money in the past few years, and no one thinks highly of him. It's called a contractor upstart. Lu Fu didn't get used to being a contractor at the beginning, but he couldn't help it because of the family's life. He couldn't earn tens of dollars every month. He was struggling. He could say what others liked, as long as he could earn money. As the money has been earning more and more in the past 2 years, and the conditions at home are getting better and better, Lu Fu's heart is getting more and more uncomfortable. He also thought about changing careers, but he doesn't know anything except the construction industry. It was only after he changed his career in construction that he learned about it after working in the #1 construction company in Panchir City for a few years. The reason why Lu Fu went to sea was because he had a lot of courage and had many friends. He had been a soldier and had seen the world before. A few days ago, if it wasn't for his son's reminder, he still didn't know the consequences of breaking the rules, and when he thought of being squeezed out by his peers, he couldn't express his anguish. In fact, Lu Fu was not very happy as a contractor, he just wanted to make money. Isn't it because he has no social status to find Chen Xing to be a representative of the National People's Congress? Lu Fu found out that the identity of this contractor affected many of his communication activities. Even if he was a good friend, there were a few who really valued him, but no one made a fuss about him because he laughed at the poor and not at the prostitute. He is a rich man in name, a big boss, and belongs to the upper class of Panchir City. In fact, no one really regards him as a master. The word contractor most affects me. Hearing what his son said, Lu Fu felt very uncomfortable. Lu Fu didn't say anything, and motioned for his son to continue. Lu Jian knew that Lu Fu had already been moved by him, so he said more vigorously, "Dad, I have been thinking about this these days. Let's change industries, but we don't know what to do. Today, I met Li Si, I suddenly had an idea. What would happen if we bought the Sanbao winery? Our family will have our own business, which is a real business. This is a big factory. There are dozens of workers. Where will we go in the future? Dad, you are a factory manager, a real boss, and an entrepreneur, who else can look down on us?" Lu Fu took a deep breath of the cigarette, and thought about it quietly for a long time, until the ash almost burned his hands. He came back to his senses, looked deeply at his son beside him, and his heart was moved. After thinking about it, he said with a smile, "Isn't it you who want to buy Sanbao Winery? Why have I become the big boss again?" Lu Jian looked at Lu Fu resentfully and said, "It's because you asked me to go back to study. I don't have time to manage it. If it weren't for it, it would be your turn." Looking at Shabao's son, Lu Fu was amused and laughed straight away. "If you buy Sanbao Winery, you have to study even more, otherwise, how do you manage such a big factory?" After laughing, Lu Fu thought for a while and said, "Xiao Jian, go and call your mother out, this matter is not a trivial matter, let's discuss it together as a family." After Lu's mother came out, she said, "You two have such a happy chat, what do you want me to do?" Lu Jian talked about the cause and effect, and knew that things were going to happen, and the two of them were going to make a fuss. From Lu's mother's point of view, life is good now. The family's conditions are getting better and better, and they are earning more and more money. They have a house and a car. In the past, the only thing they worried about was their son's studies. She is much better at school, so there is nothing to worry about. As for Lu Jian going back to school, Lu's mother has an indifferent attitude. Anyway, the family is rich now, and it doesn't matter if her son goes to school or not. All of a sudden, the two of them wanted to make such a big deal, but Mother Lu didn't agree. Lu's mother looked at her father and two who were staring at her and shook her head and said, "Why do I feel that this matter is a bit suspenseful? Besides, aren't we living a very good life now? How many food and clothing are comparable to ours? I don't know how many people envy me when I go out. If I quit this business, how can our family still earn so much money? And we don't know how to make wine, so what if we lose money? I don't agree." Lu Jian has long been prepared for Lu's mother's thoughts. Lu's mother wants to live in peace and stability. It doesn't matter whether she has no ambitions or she has a woman's opinion. This is the true thinking of many people in this era. Relatively speaking, Lu's mother can support Lu Fu to go to sea, give up his official job, and start from scratch, which is already more enlightened than many people, but this time the matter is indeed a bit big, and it is indeed unreliable in a certain way. Lu's mother thinks so not at all wrong. Lu Jian ran behind Mother Lu, beat her back and said, "Mom, you reading www.uukangshu.com. I'm not saying that our family will stop doing construction. It's just that we have one more person in our family to earn money. A channel to earn more money. It is becoming more and more difficult to contract projects now. If you don't believe me, ask my dad how many people are staring at the project of the Grain Bureau. We have relationships and others have relationships, and some relationships are stronger than ours. It's hard, we can't give all the projects to our family. We will give one to another. After that, our family will not have many projects. If this continues, our family will not be able to earn much money. Mom, you don't want our family, it's getting worse and worse. Lu's mother didn't know about these things. Lu Fu always reported good news but not bad news. Today, he couldn't hide it anymore. Lu Fu nodded to his wife without saying anything. Seeing Lu Fu nodding, Mother Lu realized that her thinking was too simple. Turning his head to Lu Jian, he said, "Go, sit over there, smell the smoke, stop flattering." Even if this is the case, how much does it cost to buy Sanbao Winery, and what I just said, we all can't make wine, can you do it? Lu Jian smiled, sat back on the sofa and said, "Mom, it doesn't matter if we don't know how to make wine. There are so many workers in the factory, who can't make wine. We just need to know how to sell wine. The wine of Sanbao Winery has been selling very well, it's just that the brand has been smashed, and no one dares to buy it now. Let's buy the winery and change it to another brand. It's hard to sell the wine if people tout it and quarrel the reputation of the wine. I don't know how much it costs to buy this winery, but I think it shouldn't be too high. Think about it, let's buy the winery, those we accept the workers, and they will not be managed by the city government in the future, and they will no longer have to pay a penny. Isn't this helping the government solve difficulties? How can we control how much money we want? In fact, the most important thing is not the government, but now these remaining workers in the winery.